Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again today. We have an amazing talk that we are going to be discussing today, and it's all about scams and how crazy they are and how more sophisticated they're getting. And I actually posted a lot of these questions to you guys in the email format as well as in our community. And you, of course, poured in and gave us some really good discussion topics and conversations. And that's what I really wanted to dig in deeper today into, is talking about different types of scams and what can we do to help our parents? What can we do to help our clients? And if you have someone, or if you are someone who is older and maybe you have been a victim, or you are getting some of these phone calls or pop-ups or the emails, I mean, there's just so many of them. We want you to take some information from today and be able to utilize it to hopefully make your life easier. So that's really is the goal. So I am going to bring in an expert to help me with that, because this is not my area of expertise, but this is why we have these amazing people that are amazing experts at what they do, to talk a little bit about this stuff. So, Googie, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. I'm so looking forward to our conversation, because when I heard you speak when we did a panel locally here in our community, you touched upon very briefly, but I was intrigued because I've never heard of your services before. So just introduce yourself to everyone so that way we know who you are and what you do best.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much, Olga, for the opportunity. Lovely meeting you again. My name is Googie Padilla, and I have a company called AnswerSure. AnswerSure is a phone scam prevention service. It has the utility to be used on landline telephones as well as cell phones. In addition to the actual service, the process, we have created an app for iOS and Android cell phones as well.
Very cool. So tell me, where is this coming from? Why did you come up with this? Because sometimes these things don't just come to us naturally. Sometimes they're results of experiences or life.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head, Olga. Life. Uh, about 5 years ago, my mom, at the time she was 84, and she got a call. And this call blossomed into many other calls. I found this out after the occurrence I'm going to tell you took place. Um, she had someone come to her front door in the guise of her bank's representative. Of course, a bank does not send anyone to your front door to pick up their quote unquote defective bank card, which that was the excuse that was used. However, Olga, he had the right bank. And my mom, still very unsteady why he was there, and luckily a family member came and visited her at the same time, ushered the man away, and then called me. My siblings and I went in search of some product or service that could protect her, shore up that landline, to be very honest.
Mhm.
Things were out there. They're out there now, but I created AnswerSure as really the impetus was protecting my mom from these calls.
Interesting.
I
So the
really
guy actually showed up to her front door, right? It
Yes,
wasn't even a phone call.
yes. It started on her landline phone, that's for sure.
Ah,
And
okay.
information was given. My mom, had caller ID, still has it today. And though she doesn't need it with AnswerSure, but she still has it. And eh, you know, she knew all the protocols that we gave her. Don't answer, don't give out information, don't. Yeah. However, things slip, and it did. And it ended up with this person coming to her front door. So that was definitely put us on high alert. It was too close for comfort. I think anyone could understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was the birth of AnswerSure. And Olga, I was not looking to go into business. I really wasn't. I was looking to simply protect my mom and allow me to sleep at night.
And here we
It
are
turned
5 years later, right? So
yes,
5 years
yes,
later, you have a business and a company that you're running to help out others. Interesting.
yes.
And you know what, I when I was doing the research, because I have done, as part of my senior series that I do in different locations as part of the service to the community, I also have a scams workshop that we talk about. And you know what? I just sometimes, it's very frustrating because I update it on a regular basis because there's just new stuff that's coming out all the time. And I find that, as someone, I am in cusper is what they call, because I'm in between millennials and Generation X. And I sometimes find things that are strange. So here, I'll give you an example. It wasn't a phone call. However, it was a scam that turned out to be. I got a letter from Department of Revenue, from Pennsylvania Department of Revenue. It was a very formal envelope, right? Came in the mail,
Mhm.
and it said that I owed some money. And I was looking at it, and you know what? They had a lot of information. And I'm like, and I showed it to my husband because I couldn't believe my eyes because it looked so real. They had things from that you can find online, but it looked so well put together. I called the phone number and they answered the right way, right?
Mhm.
So even I looked at it and I'm like, no way. And then I actually thought it was real, but then the more I looked at it, literally it took me probably a couple of hours. And I am very attention oriented and detailed because of the type of work that I do. And when I showed it to my husband, he's like, wow, this looks really weird, like very, very real. And then what we ended up doing is we actually took this paperwork and we filed a police report because I was so outraged. And you know what? What
Yes.
unfortunately happened was police said that we appreciate you doing this, but because there's thousands and thousands of these, is that the local law enforcement or even the state law enforcement or even the federal government just does not have the resources to be able to deal with the amount of scammers that are out there. And I know for a fact that there's going to be more and more people. And right now, where we are in our cycle of the year, as well as where we are because of the elections coming up, I don't know about you, but I am constantly getting phone calls and text messages about different political nature and this and that. And they're all local numbers because they are learning and they have learned to know that people are going more likely to pick up a local phone number versus something that is out of state, right? So the scammers are getting more and more
Right.
sophisticated. uh, Give us some examples maybe in what are you seeing right now in terms of, like, what are you hearing in the last year or so, some of the examples that you've had with your clients that you have heard.
Well, I mean, everything you said is spot on, Olga. Number one, the time that we're in, everyone's asking for a contribution, and
Hmm.
we don't know if it's the real place or not. Over the past year, some of the most and biggest scams that I've been hearing about are Medicare scams and the grandparent scam. I'll start with the
Hmm.
grandparent scam in particular because it has caused clients that I have and knowledge that I have been able to gain um, injury on multiple fronts. The grandparent scam, and many people may be aware of it, they use voice simulation. It's an AI where they capture a family member's voice. We have Instagram, we have, TikTok, Facebook. People are speaking, and they don't have to say much for them to capture your voice. The word yes can capture a person's voice. So the scammers use the voice and the older family member and has that voice, which is the family member's voice. Okay, the granddaughter, the grandson, the son, the daughter, it's their voice, but they're not saying the words that that voice is saying. And I've had, clients and just things that I've heard just in speaking about this topic. Things happen like people have had heart attacks on the phone. They're calling. These calls are, urgent. They're in an accident. They hurt somebody. They're going to jail. They need $5,000
Mm-hmm.
pronto. I mean, the anxiety goes from 1 to 1,000 in what, 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about older people for the most part. Grandparent
Mm-hmm.
scam.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a scam that has been rampant for it's over a year, but it has caused so much damage um, on so many fronts, physically, mentally, financially. Also, like I said, the Medicare scam. And we're in Medicare season with renewal
Yes,
right
we
now.
are actually. Yeah.
And so I got to tell you, Medicare will not call you. Medicare will not call you. Same way your bank, you know, they won't. They'll send letters. They want documentation. They like paper
Mm-hmm.
trails.
Mm-hmm.
But calls from Medicare, these are the scams that I'm hearing. Calls from Medicare saying there's some fraudulent activity. They need to verify information. Social
Mm-hmm.
Security. Let's verify your Medicare number. Uh, they sound super official. They also sound very threatening. Now, someone who's getting Medicare and you're hearing, well, we'll have to hold your Medicare for the next 3 months until this is solved, that makes you stop and say, okay, what do you want? Because
Mm-hmm.
who can do that? So those two, I can tell you, are rampant. There's also the IRS calling
Yeah.
you. IRS will
I
not
was going
call
to
you.
say that I had IRS call me. They did.
Yes.
They called me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. They're not going to call you. They'll send you a letter in the mail. And
Yes,
even
they
then, I
do.
would say double check. But IRS is another one that, of course, during getting to tax season, getting to April, those are
Mm-hmm.
more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, but these scams, some of them are seasonal. Yes.
You know
Also,
what? I think, yeah, I think with all certainty, I think you and I will agree on the fact that no government agency is going to call you on the phone.
that's right. That's right.
Even local state agencies not going to call you. Even the county agencies, most of them do things by mail because they, like you said, they want paper trail things. They
That's right.
want things in writing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So sadly, those are the most popular right now that I've seen. Um,
Yeah.
and it, it,
And you know what?
it
You actually
cause it
made it.
causes damage.
You made a very good point. So AI, for us, if you guys are not sure what the acronym means, it's artificial intelligence. It's been the buzzword for the last couple of years since ChatGPT came out. And since ChatGPT came out, there's probably now 50 others. There's Bards, there's Geminis, there's others. And because it's artificial intelligence, the information is constantly fed to it. And that means that the technology is getting more sophisticated and smarter every day, which means that these scams are going to get smarter and more sophisticated every day. And that's just a fact of life. And when you were saying about the voice of your loved one being generated by someone else, but sounding so well, how do you even screen that and verify that? Can you say, listen, I'm going to hang up and call you back? Right? Like what can we do, especially when we're dealing with family and loved ones?
Yes. And in many of my talks, I say this: create a family word. Create
Mm,
a family word.
okay.
It's something that offers verification to not the caller, the recipient, that the caller is really coming and saying something from your loved one if they know the family word. This came from just my two children who are grown adults now. Um, going to parties and calling home. And if they said this word, my husband and I knew, okay, we have to go pick them up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's the premise I used. And we still have our family word, believe it or not. And created that offers verification. So you say for the grandparent scam, that's something people can do. And share the word with your family, and let them know this is verification for grandma, grandpa, for anyone. Actually, we're all vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
To that, if something happens and that word is used, we know it's really a family member.
You know what? It's such
That's
a
one of the
simple
things I
way,
tell.
right? It's such a simple
Yes.
way of doing that. And you know what? I'm actually going to add that to my list when I make suggestions to families to have a just general conversations on checking in and how things are going and making plans, whether they're already retired or they're planning for it. That should be actually part of the conversation to say, hey, it just in case if there's going to be a scam or something going around, what is our safe word? What is our word that is going to call for action? I think that's a really great idea. So I'm actually going
No,
to
I
thank you. I'm
agree.
going to add that to my presentations because
Absolutely.
it's simple. It's very simple.
It's very simple, but it's actually very useful. It's very,
It
very
is very
useful.
useful. Yeah.
Um, I have a client that she has our service on her phone, but before she got it, she was almost a victim of a grandparent scam. And the only thing that made her stop and think
Hmm.
was that the person on the line, they had the voice of her grandchild, called her grandma instead of Nana because her grandchildren call her
Ah,
Nana. And that was the only thing. She said, she it just made her stop. They never call her grandma. It's Nana. So, something as simple as that. That's kind of like her verification at that
sure.
moment that this was not my grandchild, right? So, yes, please, yes, use it. Spread the news about a family word, our family code
100%.
word.
So when you say grandparent scam, what are they saying? What is the issue that they're presenting? So that way we have some ideas. What's the urgency?
It's anything. The urgency is, well, it's anything urgency. I hit someone with the car, they're taking me to
Hmm.
jail. I'm in the hospital
Hmm.
and they're putting me in, intensive care, and I need money because I won't be able to get, whatever they say.
Hmm.
Uh, the hit and run is a big one. I'm in Mexico and I'm in jail. I didn't do what they said they wanted me to do, but they said that I did. But I'm in Mexico. I'm out of the country, and I need a lawyer, and it's going to cost $10,000, and they're going to put me in jail, Grandma. They say 6 years. I could be. These are the kinds of things
Hmm.
that they use. Sad. And with, like I said, the family member's voice, many, many people become victimized by it, and they
Hmm.
send the money um, and all the anxiety that goes with it. So those are a couple of examples.
So they prey on sensitive situations and kind of like a life and death situations where people can get very emotional. Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The
You
sense
also
of urgency,
mentioned.
you said,
Mhm. Mhm.
no, go
So you
ahead.
also mentioned to me a romance scam. What is that?
Yes. Yes. Well, the epidemic in our country this year, in right now anyway, not just this year, but right now, is the epidemic of loneliness.
Mm,
And sadly, there are many people that are totally alone. They did
mhm,
not have a family. You get to a certain age, and many of your friends pass or move
mhm,
away. You lose touch. So these romance scams, that's what they're called, They are some of the most insidious
Mm,
because they create this illusion of friendship with
mm,
their victim. Okay. With every call, the recipient of that call is getting victimized. And I say that because they start looking forward to the call. They
right.
start thinking this person is a friend. And these calls can go on for months. Months before anything about money comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So they garner the friendship. They garner that person who is waiting for that call. That's their daily call or weekly call. And then, as months go on, they'll spring something about a trip, or they'd love to come and see them, or a family member is ill and they don't have enough money. And of course, the person here who's being victimized says, "Oh, well, we've known each other for so long. What can I do to help you?" Well, I don't want to ask you for money. That's not right. The scenario goes on and money is exchanged.
Right.
So that is called the romance scam. They actually tug at your heart.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
And that has sadly has caused so much pain for people.
mm-hmm,
Some people feel they've fallen in love with this caller. They've fallen in love with this person.
mm-hmm.
It's very, very sad. So that's the romance scam, and it's going on every day.
And you know what? I wonder if it's more prevalent when it's winter time, where the days are shorter and it's cold, and a lot of people don't go out. And right around holiday time, if they're by themselves, I won't be surprised if scammers target people in different seasons because people are bound to be more emotional and more susceptible to it as well. Mm. So I'm curious,
100%.
how do these people ask for money? Like, what do they ask for when they say, I need some money? What does that look like? What can be a red flag when the questions are asked?
Well, first of all, anyone you are talking to over the phone for a number of days, forget months,
Mm-hmm,
you should always have in the back of your mind, this is not, you know, where is this going?
mm-hmm,
What we're talking. Listen, I'm not saying, I can never say 100% of the time the caller is being nefarious. I can't say that. However, knowing the climate we're living in, gaining that kind of friendship is one of their ploys that you
mm-hmm,
must always keep in mind. How does money come up? It
mm-hmm,
usually won't come up as an ask, it'll come up as a comment. It'll
mm,
come up as, you're talking to each other for some months. How's your family? Oh, my family's okay. My mom needs some surgery. Whoa, what happened? Well, whatever happened, ulcers, and they need to she needs to have some procedures done, but we're on the wait list. Well, why are you on the wait list? Well, we have to gather our funds together, but
uh-huh,
we're doing it. Well, I'd like to help. No, no, I can't ask you to help me. No,
mm,
we're going to do it. Oh, come on, we're friends now. We've been talking for months. I feel that allow me to do this. So the victim is almost pressuring the scammer to allow them to send money to them. That's just
mm,
one way. And usually there's some sort of form like that. They're never coming out just to ask, will you send me $5,000? They're saying there's a situation in which
mm-hmm,
funds are needed, and they'll most likely said, "Oh, no, 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 I don't want your money. No, we will handle it. Our family will handle it." Maybe that call ends and the next call, how is it going? Well, not too good. Not too good. We expected something and it didn't come through. Allow me to help you.
mm,
And that's how it happens many times. And the sad part is, it's not a one off.
Mm-hmm.
They'll keep the relationship going. So they'll get more money out of their victim, you know? Yeah, it's very, very sad. It's one of the most devastating of all these
Mm-hmm.
phone scams because people's hearts become part of these conversations, you know?
Sure.
But yes,
So how do they actually, I'm just wondering, do they ask for a gift card? Do they ask for somebody for them to Venmo the money? Like, what is that transaction question? Like, how could we also know
it
that this
can,
could be a
it can.
scam?
Well, I would say to everyone, having in mind that there's a high probability that the caller is a scammer
Mm-hmm.
is paramount. Okay. Anyone that is calling you, romance scam may be a little different because they do it over time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the phone scams are using three things: a
Mm-hmm.
sense of fear, a sense of urgency, and an authority figure. Okay. With the romance scam, it's a bit different because there are months involved and they're gaining a friendship. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do
Mm-hmm.
they ask for money? It's however the person with the romance scam, however the person wishes to send it. They'll say, well, I don't want to put you out. You know, with other phone scams, it's usually gift cards. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With some phone scams, the grandparent scam, for instance, oh, it has to be instantaneous. It's so urgent. They tell them to go to their bank, get cash, and somebody will come by the house and pick it up. Put the cash in an envelope and we'll pick it up because time is
Wow.
of the essence. We
Mm-hmm.
have to get your grandson out of jail. So this is $5,000 in an envelope. We'll be there at 3 o'clock to pick it up. So they're all different. The one thing that is constant is that they're taking money, particularly from seniors.
Right.
Money is the target here, and the victims is just a pathway for these phone scammers to secure that target of money.
Wow. Are tech support companies still calling? There's a virus on
Not
your
that I know of.
computer.
Well, I see it. I've gotten it myself.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say is never call the number that's given.
Mm-hmm.
Never press the button.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know, they make it the screen disappear and all this sort of turn
Mm-hmm.
off your computer,
Mm-hmm.
turn it
Mm-hmm.
off, give
Right.
it a couple minutes, turn it back on. And if by chance there's still that page on your computer, turn it off and just don't bother. Don't let it go overnight or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do not, or call a family member. To very honestly, every family has their techie person in the family.
Right.
Call that person and say, "This is on my computer. I turned it off. Boom." Um, yeah, these things and scams in all its forms. Um, it's called the crime of the 21st century
I also.
because.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I've just why is that called? Now I'm intrigued.
Well, scams, period. Phone
Right.
scams, particularly, but scams, period. That they are the crimes of the 21st century, because you don't see the perpetrator.
Right.
You have no idea what they look like, sound like. You have no idea who they are, where they're calling from. It's yeah. It's a thorough crime. Let's put it that way.
I could retire by now because I can't tell you how many inheritances I received from some prince from Africa who chose me to be their most favored designated random person, as I call it. but that, you're supposed to send that, they're going to send me the check and then they're supposed to send you the difference back. And it's just
Yes.
crazy. That I think is one of the older ones that I think they got tired of, because people were like, right, a prince in Africa found me to inherit millions of dollars. Like, so yeah, that was the one
Hmm.
thing I was thinking
Hmm.
about too. But you know what? I also have heard that it makes me mad, because that's, I think, another reason why seniors are being targeted is charity scams. Because a lot of seniors have their choices of charities. They have, they are, uh, that's what they wanted to do. They retired and they wanted now to be of assistance to help others. And they are looking for different charities. And I think that's where they could also be significant victims. Have you seen any of that too?
Yes, sadly, I have. Again, I would say verify everything. Call the charity directly.
Mm-hmm.
Go online, go to their website, get
Mm-hmm.
their telephone number, call,
Mm-hmm.
because they're sadly the charity is injured when these calls are made and they're fraudulent, because people are accusing, well, you called me. No, we didn't. This is a criminal activity that's calling you. Verify everything. Pick a charity, of course, but verify. Call the charity directly, and you can. They're there. They want
Mm-hmm.
the interaction. Find out
Exactly.
about the charity and how you can give to the charity, and they'll let you know. But don't do it on the phone.
You know what I also find interesting is that I used to get calls from this association of law enforcement, and they
Hmm.
would call on a regular basis to say, can I count on you to support this and that? And I say, you may, however, I would like to know more about your organization, so please mail me the information. I've
That's
said that
right.
multiple times until I finally blocked that number. Do you think
Mhm.
they actually mailed me something? No,
I know.
never.
No, no. There is a police benevolent association.
Okay.
However,
Mm-hmm.
however,
Mm-hmm.
they would mail you something. If you
Exactly.
asked for something to be mailed, if this was a legit
Mm-hmm.
organization, they
Exactly.
would mail you something. So this organization that called you was not.
No, because every time I asked them, I said, I am opening to contributions. I just would like to read a little bit more about your organization. So please send us something to me. If you have my number, I said, you have my address. And I said, no, I'm not going to verify my address for you. Go ahead and send it over. They never did.
Good,
They never did.
smart. That's what you do.
Yeah. What
No,
the other
no,
ones
sir.
that I think, your example of having somebody come to the front door is home repair scams. Have you seen those or had any interactions? Oh yes, we're on your street
Well,
doing another roof all the time,
oh
to
yeah,
this day,
oh yeah. I,
actually.
I get those myself here. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Oh yes, oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my mantra is verification. Verify everything. Take the
Mm-hmm.
information. If they're legit, they have something they could leave with you. If they're not, odds are they have nothing to leave with you. That's a
Exactly.
barometer that I would use, because no one needs to make instantaneous decision about changing their roof. That at least not anyone I know of. So that's one of the ways that you can see, is this real? Is it not? And even if they have something, and because I've become a cautious optimist, I'm an optimist by just my nature, but I'm
Cautious, right?
extremely cautious because I've seen what can be done and what is happening out there. I question everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we have to be that way to keep ourselves safe.
For sure. So I'll give you a good example. Yesterday, I did a presentation last week for a group of seniors, and it was quite a few of them. And a lot of them asked me for a copy, because I was presenting using a workbook, and I said, absolutely. So a few of them gave me their contact information, and I told them, I said, next week, I said, I'm going to call you and I'm going to set up a time window where I'm going to step over and drop off paperwork for you. So yesterday I dropped off for one of the ladies and I spoke to her, but it was her husband who unlocked the front door. And what I really liked about it, he had two doors. So he opened the interior door first, but he kept the glass door still locked and closed. And he asked me, he was a little, but I can understand because there's probably a lot of people that are canvassing the neighborhoods. And he's like, who are you? And I'm like, and I have my envelope in front of me. And I said, I'm here for Mary. I said, I have a package to drop off. And he's like, what package? Like he kept asking me questions. And I appreciate that. He just like, oh, package here, I'll take it. He wanted to know exactly what it was for and who I was before he unlocked the door. So as soon as I told him my name and that I was from the organization that she belonged to and that I saw her last week, only then did he open and unlock the door by this much. And then he literally just took my envelope and that was the end. So I very much, he was a little bit on apprehensive, and I get that, but he would not take anything until he felt comfortable. And that's kind of what I was like when I was like, I knew I was going to be talking to you today. I was like, this is exactly what I would be looking for from my parents, is that you ask and you keep asking questions until you feel comfortable. And if you are not, you don't open the door and say, just leave it right by the front door and I'm going to take it later, and you shut that door and you lock it. So
That's
I think
right.
it was a good experience.
Absolutely. I mean, he was thorough, as he should be. And you're on his property. He's absolutely right. I don't have to open my door for you. We come from, at least the generation that I deal with, and that's the 60 and over. The generation of politeness, I find.
Yes.
They don't want to say no. They don't want to hang up the phone. That's not polite. I'm not saying to be rude. I'm saying to be assertive and to be, it's another word for it.
You could be firm, right? Maybe firm.
You could be firm. Yes. Right? Yes. Because he didn't have to open the door, Olga.
No.
He could have let it ring, or if he could have said, you know what, leave what you're going to leave in the mailbox.
Right.
He could have said, leave it right at the door. So I appreciate his apprehension. I think it's wise.
I agree with you.
I think it's a solid response. And, more people should be apprehensive.
Because, I agree with you.
Seniors are being preyed upon. It's a real thing. It's happening every day.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some other strategies on what can seniors be mindful about. What kind of action steps can they take to protect themselves? We have a list of things that you and I kind of came up with. So let's talk about those strategies.
Yes.
Let's see.
Well, I always say the first strategy is always be skeptical of everything. That could be asking questions. That could be closing the door. That can be not answering the door or answering the call. If you have an answering machine, let it go to voicemail. Let it go to your answering machine. That's number one. Two, if you do pick up the phone, do not give out any information. None. You'll be asked questions. Sadly, there's a phone scam now that they'll pick up the phone and they'll say, can you hear me? Because they want you to say the word yes. They capture your voice when you do that. If you pick up a phone that rings in your home and they start with asking you a question, hang up the phone. Don't say anything. They called you. Hang up the phone. Another is We hit upon creating the family password, code word, share that with your universe of family members. Again, verification is key, and that offers very concrete verification of anything that has to do with family members.
Mm-hmm.
And the tactics of when you're on the phone, if right away the caller is pressuring you with a sense of urgency, with fear, creating fear within you, the recipient of the call, and behaving or saying they're from an authority, uh, either authority figure or an office that has authority, those are telltale signs that it's a phone scam, because they use those tactics for you to react without thinking. You know, a scam is the intentional misdirection of another for financial gain. I looked
Mm-hmm.
that up. I didn't create that thing, that dictionary
Hmm.
antidote there, but that's what a scam is. So anything or any call that is making you react without thinking, that
Mm-hmm.
is letting you be fearful and have to hurry in a decision, those, I mean, I would say, I never say 100, but I would say 100% of the time that's a scam. That's a phone scam, because they want you to react without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a few of the things. Verification is key, and I mean verify. If it's your bank, you get a text message, call your bank directly. The back of your bank card has a direct number to your bank.
Yeah, they
Do
do.
never call numbers, never phone call the phone numbers that are sent to you in any fashion. Um, Always just going to the source for verification as well. So those are some of the tips that we each can take and use when we're picking up the phone. One other, and it sounds very simplistic, but taking a pause before you pick up a phone,
Yep, you
taking a
said
deep
it.
breath or two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you are, we're all rushed, and frazzled, we're all in a hurry. Doesn't matter. Take a breath, then pick up that call. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
pick it up, you can let it
Exactly.
ring and go to your voicemail. You know, um, again, these are things in this day and age, we're all in a hurry, and that kind of chaos is aiding these phone scams. So it's a few of mine
You know, I'm
tidbits.
you're talking about these strategies, and I'm thinking back to that same senior group from last week. When I was
Yes.
talking to the ladies, I told them, I said, I'm going to call you to set up the time. So at first I went out, it was this yesterday actually. I went and I saw a few of them. And they told me, oh, you're going to call me? I'm not going to recognize your number, or I don't answer the number I don't recognize. Like they were fully prepared, like they had a strategy for the phone, right? And I told them, I said, that's perfectly okay. I said, I'm going to leave you a voicemail. I'm going to remind you who I am and where you met me, so that way you know that I am a legitimate human being. And that's exactly what happened. Every single one of them, when I called, my phone call went straight to their voicemail. And I left them a
Yes.
message. I said, my name is Olga. I met you last week at the presentation in this community center. We talked about this topic. I said, I have the packet of information that you asked me to print for you, and I would like to set up the time. And I gave them options on when I can stop by to drop it off for you. So please call me and let me know. This is my cell phone number. And I gave them all the information that they needed to know that they know me, they can trust me, and I am a normal human being. So I actually applauded them. I said, I'm glad that you don't answer numbers. And then another lady called me back. She's like, I saw the number, and it was not my local number. And she's like, and I almost didn't answer, but then I listened to my voicemail and I realized that you left me a message, and that's why I called you back. So I
Yes.
applauded them because they were careful and they were screening phone calls, which is exactly what we're talking about. If the number you don't recognize, let it go to voicemail. If it's important, the doctor's office or somebody else is going to leave you a voicemail, and then you can make a decision if you want to return their phone call or not,
That's right.
right?
That's right. Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't have
So
to answer every call.
no, you don't have to answer every phone call. And that was the other thing they said to me too. Olga, they're like, yes, this, and I said, this is my cell phone. I said, since we now have a connection, I said, if there's anything else you need, I said, please add my name and my phone number to address book so that way when I call you, you know it's me. And that's exactly what they did.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that's the kind of conversations I think we all need to have with our loved ones, is to say, if you don't recognize the number, just don't even answer. Just don't,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. Olga, yes, number one, 100%. But I got to tell you, I've heard so many times, I usually don't answer the calls.
Mm,
But
mhm, mm,
this one time, and that's all it really takes. Um, my clients, 9 out of 10 of them have been victimized, and it was usually they'll say it's that one call I never pick up, but this
mm,
one time, you know,
mhm.
one call can cause quite a bit of havoc in someone's life. Okay, anyone, but
Yes.
particularly a senior. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
so yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Um, don't pick up. Let it go to voicemail. Try to make that the protocol, not the exception. You know,
100%. I
yeah.
want to share with you a couple of the comments. So I put these questions out that you and I were going to have this discussion tonight.
Mhm.
And I asked my database and also on this channel, I said, for some people, let me know what you are thinking and what are some of the examples of what you had experienced with, whether it was with you or whether you were the family members. I want to share with you some of these interesting, just kind of thoughts that people have sent to me. So the first one is, my dad and I spent a decent amount of time together fishing, and we talk finances and his recent retirement. And I thought that he had it down. He was an executive at a huge company, and then he paid $99 to have a virus removed from his computer recently when a pop up came up which promptly stole his card. Right?
Yes. Hmm.
And he was so
Yes.
frustrated because he's like, my dad was an executive in this big company. He always was so energetic and smart and very dynamic. And here we are, right?
Olga, the former head of the CIA was almost scammed. Was a phone
Wow.
scam. There is a financial journalist. She's about 35, 36 years old. She's written for the New York Times, Washington Post, all sorts of newspapers and periodicals.
Mm-hmm.
She was scammed, a phone scam, out of $30,000. Anyone,
Anyone.
anyone can be scammed. We are all vulnerable.
Wow.
So I understand your person's concern, but it's not as alien as she may think. And it
Wow.
has nothing to do with the mental acuity. It has, let me take that back. Of course it does. But I'm just saying her father is no less uh, sharp because this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, PhDs,
Mm-hmm.
doctors, lawyers, this happens to people every day. The sad part is when you pass the age of 60, 65, and you're up there in age, one of the fears, and this is one of the reasons why this crime is so underreported in our country
Mm-hmm.
is that people feel others will look at them differently, like they're quote unquote losing it. They're not as sharp. Um, and many times that's not the case. Many
Mm-hmm.
times these scammers are just very, very good at what they do, and they
Exactly.
mislead people.
Wow. All right, let me share another one with you.
Okay.
Roomba123 says, elderly without computers or cell phones does not stop scammers. Scammers call claiming to be assisting with Medicare, right? As
Yes.
insurance helpers. And before you know it, the elderly have switched their
Yes.
plans. They
Yes.
switched Medicare coverage providers, and soon there are going to be services that are now out of service providers. And then the medical care companies just don't care either. They provide the service and then they bill the elderly. And you know what? I had David Robinson last week. We actually talked about everything Medicare because of the open enrollment, because of the changes that are coming. And that's what he was saying, that is so frustrating for him, is that when he calls his clients or someone else calls him and says, oh yeah, so and so just switched to some random something kind of plan, and he's like,
Mhm.
where is this coming from, how is it? And they will see a pop-up, or they will see a commercial, or somebody will call and whisper to them and promise them the world, and like, okay, I will switch. And this is exactly what happens. Wow.
Yes.
Crazy, crazy. So that's, and you know what?
Very, very.
I bet you right now with the Medicare enrollment, the scammers are probably ramping up, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
You said it before, the scammers, they have, it happens year round, don't get me wrong, but our winter months, when we are
Mm-hmm.
sequestered in our homes, we
Right.
are, literally a captive audience for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
the scamming definitely does go up. So, yes, I see.
So Sage Bush
It's,
says,
yeah.
as for cell
Mhm.
phones, if the phone has an option to ring only for numbers in their contacts list, do that. If not,
Yes.
set the default ring to silent and assign a ring to everyone in their contact list,
Mhm.
making sure that all contacts in the list are legit and not scammers. We haven't figured out how to do the same for our landline, but we simply do not answer unless we're sure who is calling. Huh. So here actually is
Yes.
something that your service can help, because you guys have the service for the landline, right?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Perfect. All
Yes.
right, we'll talk about that in just a second. I just want to share with you some of these
Okay.
comments. Yeah, but we're definitely going to talk about what exactly the services that you guys have. Vero Beach says, yep, my usually savvy dad got taken in by a fake Geek Squad invoice. So Geek Squad is famous, part of the tech support at Best Buy, right? Probably because he had been a past customer. Long and difficult repercussions from that. And he actually says, because we talked a little bit about more, he said, I like the AARP idea where there is going to be education on common scams, but informed that it's not coming from you. And you know what? I think some of the clients that I talked to about this, they also said that sometimes, parents and family members can be stubborn, and they will say, well, listen, I raised you and I worked in this industry for 40 years and I think I can handle myself. Have you heard that before?
Mm. Oh, of course. Of course. Oh gosh. Oh Lord, yes, I have. And listen, you get to a certain age and you've worked all your life, you've been able to create a nest egg for yourself to live out your golden years. You don't want anyone having authority over what
Mm-hmm.
you can do from what you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
However, I understand families and family members that are just trying to preserve what the older senior has so they can live out their golden years as they choose and as they
Mm-hmm.
wish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fine line, though.
100%. Barabing says, also let your parents know that these scammers share information with each other. That is scary. That's just crazy. Names, phone numbers, addresses, last digits of bank cards, credit cards, even some social security numbers are all available. Tell your parents you are relying on them to spot these scammers. Do nothing on impulse and double check with each other and you to share the different ways that the scam could be working before committing any resources, money, or information that may help them in this or future efforts to relieve them of money. Wow, that's scary. Sharing of the information.
Sure. 100% they share. And again, we're in technological age, the internet.
Yeah.
There's so much information online about ourselves, more
Mm-hmm.
than you think. There's a lot of information online. I would take a step back, though, if I may, with that
Mm-hmm.
comment.
Yeah.
You know, I created AnswerSure because for my mom, number one, I
Mm-hmm.
felt that it was time that I took the onus off of her in
Mm-hmm.
determining if a caller was legit or not.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wanted something that could do that vetting before the call even gets to her. Because
Sure.
I think, yes, a lot of places, I know across the board, they have a lot of information online about it and a lot about
Mm-hmm.
phone scams, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
information on what to do, what not to do. But again, it's putting the onus on the older person, on the
Mm-hmm.
senior. Okay. That very honestly, yeah, they may remember one or two things, and it's not their memory going. It's just the way this technology is evolving is it's lightning speed. It
Mm-hmm.
is not going a snail's pace. It's not going even, you know, a, a racehorse It's going
Right.
lightning speed.
Lightning speed.
So the minute you're telling someone to look out for something, that is old news. They are creating different techniques for people to pick up their phones. Because once you pick up that phone, the odds go up
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to get you. Okay.
Wow.
So I understand what the person who wrote in said. I've just,
Mm-hmm.
my thing is trying to take the onus off of the older person.
Why, Harry? Listen to this. Quadro expert says, my parents lost all of their life savings to such a scam at the age of 65. With no source of income post retirement, they're struggling and now more prone to new scams as they are starstruck by coupons, vouchers, and free and prize money type things.
Yes.
Right?
That's
Can you
so sad.
imagine you work so hard your whole life? Try to save up so you can then retire and do things that you want to do. And then, like if I just thinking about my own parents, like I would be just completely heartbroken. Heartbroken.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So Witty Tech says, I agree with others here. Show them news articles of other people who have been scammed. And many of these people are highly educated professionals, like you said, Gogi. And this will help show them others have been scammed. And hopefully they will start to believe you. Because I think that was part of the conversation where we talked about how, sometimes the parents are like, don't tell me what to do. I know better than you. It's fine. I got it under control, right? So
Hmm.
this gentleman
Yes.
says, I'm a computer support technician and I have been fooled up to a point, and then I realized it was a scam. As someone who encounters this on a regular basis, if I can be fooled, anyone can. Wow.
That's
A
right.
computer tech almost. Did you see
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Almost.
He's
Wow.
right. He's
Yeah.
right. And I appreciate him being so forthcoming. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Lazy River 123 says, I would give 4 simple rules to follow. Number 1, if anyone mentions gift cards, it's 100% scam. What do you think about that?
Sure. But, even before it gets to there, before it gets to the gift card, they've had to say and or share things where gift
Mhm.
cards come up. So
Exactly.
sense of urgency or fear,
Yeah.
right?
So then he says no exceptions. If anyone mentions crypto or forex, so that's more techie things, the money,
Yes.
whatever, is
Investments.
100% scam. There are no exceptions. If
Mhm.
if their computer ever pops a warning about a virus or being hacked, restart the computer immediately. That's what you suggested, Gogi. And if it still has the same warning, stop using the computer immediately and then let you know.
Yeah, most get
Never,
someone. Mhm.
exactly, never let anyone install any remote support tools or take over their computer to do things. There are no exceptions. If things are that bad, they need to physically go to a local computer repair shop or head to their bank to resolve whatever is wrong. Agreed. I
Right.
think this is a very sound advice, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Carl B says, get 3 of these per day. Whenever I get a call, I block the number and then I report it. My blocked list is now several hundred numbers long, and I still get
Mhm.
these calls. I have called numbers and that they provide, and I added my number to their internal do not call list. If anything, it made it worse.
Mhm.
Wow. It's crazy. I can't tell you how many blocked numbers I have on my phone. And they're all local too, because they will call. You know what? The other thing that I found that was helpful is when I answer, and I answer the majority of my calls because, as you can imagine, people will call me
Of
from
course.
different parts of the country.
Of
So
course.
I do answer. But what I found was that if it's a robocall or somebody is using a dialer or some kind of system, there is a pause before they answer.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
also could be a clue. Like if I say, hello, this is Olga, and then there's silence on the other line, I know that now the system realized that the phone was picked up, and then they're going to transfer to the live person because there's a computer that is dialing, right? So I'm on the right
Correct.
path, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wow. And for blondes and brunettes says, my first senior aid helper scam call came in at 7 a.m. this morning. I will get 3 to 4 today and every day. This has been going on for a month. I've literally tried everything. What is the point? They don't want to talk. What, like, this is just crazy. Can you imagine getting those phone calls nonstop? And you know what, too? I was thinking about this when this lady was saying that the ladies that I met last week at that community event, a few of their phone numbers, when I called them to set up the time to meet with them, I could hear that the phone was ringing, which means it was on. But one lady's phone, or 2 of them, was actually completely shut off. So they actually followed the advice and they shut it off, and then they turn it back on, and then they listen to the voicemail, or if they need to use it, they use it. So I think that's another solid
Right.
advice too.
Good.
Dr. B. Cohen says, I get them religiously. I block the number each time, but that doesn't matter because, like you said, it's a new number every time. It is very annoying, and there's probably nothing to be done about it. Yeah. So, well,
Well,
actually, yes, we can do something about it because you, Gogi, have a service that helps put a someone like a almost like a wall of China, like a protector between the scammers and our loved ones. So tell me how your service works. What do we need to know?
and so, Sarah, you put it quite well. It's a barrier.
Barrier, right?
The AnswerSure service. I will
Mm-hmm,
do the landline portion first, so that we can
mm-hmm,
detail that. Also can be used on cell phones, but
mm-hmm,
what we do is that we do the vetting of every call that
okay,
comes in for our client. The AnswerSure call center in our representative plan picks
mm-hmm,
up every call for our client. The client creates a password or code word or phrase, gives it out
Okay.
to their universe, lawyers, doctors, children, everyone, accountants, etc. When the call is picked up from the call center, their caller will be asked to whom you would like to speak. They say, I'd like to speak to Olga.
Mhm.
Sure. Do you have Miss Pierre's password or code? They would say, sure, I think it is aging. Oh, I'm very sorry. You will have to try it again later, or I can take a message for you if you'd like, and I can get it to Olga.
Mhm.
They can leave a message and their phone number with the representative that's picking up every call. Those messages are sent to the recipient of the call, our client, and a
Mhm.
designee that the recipient chooses. Two people receiving these messages. The messages are sent in real time as we receive them because inevitably someone is left off of the friends and family list. So someone who's actually legitimate, a doctor, a brother you haven't spoken to in 12 years calls you, the client will receive the messages either it could be from text, it could be email, and the designee that the client chooses will also receive those messages. We did it this way because our clients, like I said, many of them have been injured, and our service offers that barrier, as I've
Mhm.
stated. So
Mhm.
when our client's phone rings, there is no anxiety, there is no stress, there's no hesitation. They know that call has been vetted, and the call is met with happiness and curiosity.
Exactly.
Who's calling me now? Because they know it's a legitimate call. It
Mhm.
is not one that they have to worry about. Um, that's the representative plan. We have an automatic numeric plan as well for landlines where you don't have the representative picking up the call, but there is an automated response to the caller when they dial the number asking for the 5-digit numeric code. If they
Uh-huh.
have the code, the call is released and will ring our client's phone. If they do not have the code, the automatic voice will say, I'm sorry, your call cannot be put through at this time. Please try again later. And then the caller, if they're legit, has to hunt down someone to get that numeric code. Needless to say, the representative plan is the plan that offers the most utility and people gravitate to that plan.
Towards that. Mhm.
Yes. So that's for landlines, and we have an app for cell phones as well.
And I think you mentioned that you have it for both Apple, which is a iOS version, right? And then for Androids, which is regular phones as well.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm curious if somebody primarily uses landline, because I have some clients who say, call me on the landline because I never know where my cell phone is.
Hmm.
How do they get messages? Will the representative call them on the landline and say, hey, Gogi, I just got a call from so and so. Do you recognize this person? They left their phone number. Like, how would that work if they don't use a cell phone?
Well, if they don't use a cell phone and don't use a computer, their designee would receive those messages because every client must have a designee that can also receive messages if they have the representative plan. No, we don't have the ability to call our clients and to leave them messages. We pick up the phone for them to
Mm-hmm,
vet each call that comes in, but
mm-hmm.
we do not call back. We're not that much as a receptionist, but we don't call back.
Got you. And designate is somebody who the client trusts to receive the
Yes,
information in case if they're not available.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Usually it's another family member or such.
Okay. So the service that you offer, is this something that someone can sign up and pay on a monthly basis, quarterly? What does that look like in terms of
We
the? Mhm.
Our service is a monthly basis. We don't have any contracts or anything. We've discovered life changes,
Mhm.
particularly for the demographic that is interested in my service.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a month to month,
Okay.
online. You can sign up
Mm-hmm.
online.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell people, please look at our website, look through it. We do things, it's different than many services out there, but I think that uniqueness offers more coverage, very honestly.
All right. I think I pulled it up. Let me show you. I just want to make sure I'm on the right one. Let's see.
AnswerSure.com.
Yep. I'm just looking for the right screen to make sure. Can you
Hmm.
see it?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. This is the right website, correct?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Okay. So here you can actually learn more about the company. Here are your services, plans, landline, mobile, and frequently asked questions as well. And of course, how you can pick a plan. You can get an app, very useful. And then, of course, you can contact everybody as well, which is handy as well.
Yes,
Okay, so your phone number. And important question, Gogi, you guys are available nationwide?
yes, we are. All 50
Okay.
states.
All
I
50
have,
states. Is
I,
the US only?
at this point, yes, it is.
Okay. All right, good to know. Good to know. Perfect. Okay. All right, I think I came back. All
Mhm.
right. So, anything else that you want to add before we wrap up? I think those were all the questions and the comments that we got. And I just want to say that it's a very unique service that you provide, and of course, a lot of things are born out of necessity or out of a lesson learned, which is I think is the case for you.
Mhm.
But I think what you guys are doing is tremendous because it's all about protecting our loved ones, and that's really the goal. And you know what, I was also thinking too, by the time, let me see, where we're about 6 years out, right? 2030, majority of the baby boomers, that big generation that we're talking about here, are all going to be 65 and older. And by that point, which means that it's going to be another 6 years, the technology is going to evolve even more. And that means there's going to be more and more things that we need to be aware of. So I think that this is the conversation that I'm having with a lot of people is be prepared because more and more people are going to need our help and your help. And I think what you're doing is amazing. So just
Thank you.
kind of food for thought. I think a lot of people are not realizing that as the generation gets older, more of them are going to need this help. And it's only going to get, I think, scarier because of the advances in technology. That's my personal opinion.
No, I think you're 100% right. I don't see it going any other way. It's not going to lessen.
Mhm.
I can
No.
tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much money involved. Phone scams is $1 trillion, I don't want to say industry, crime worldwide.
Right.
Trillion.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, yeah, spot on with what you said. It's not going to get any less. It's going to get more advanced. And, the number one way to avoid being scammed, phone
Mm-hmm.
scam, that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is to not pick up the phone call.
There you go. There you go. Just don't answer the phone unless it's somebody you know. And that's it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
Or you have AnswerSure, and we answer it for
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. You
Yes,
have a service to protect you, to give you a peace of mind if you don't want to miss important phone calls.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Perfect. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything else, any parting words, Gogi, before we sign off?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. This was wonderful, engaging, and insightful. Your database, your community had some great questions, so thank them also.
Of course.
I like I said, this is a crime that's not going away,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe proactive prevention is key. Sadly, I have seen too many people become victims before they start protecting themselves, very honestly.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would just say use all the tools that and ideas that were shared today, but also think of different tools and services that could help enhance protecting your loved one or yourself for that matter,
Mhm.
because the crime is becoming more and more sophisticated.
Agreed. Agreed. Gogi, thank you so much. I enjoyed very much talking to you. And you know what? Every time I talk to somebody, I learn something else that's new. And that also means that I have more resources to share with our database and our clients. So thank you so much. All right, everybody, we're wrapping up. We hope you enjoyed this. Gogi's information and the company information, all the links are going to be posted under this video. That way you can reach out to her, ask any questions, go on the website, explore some more. But this is an amazing service, an amazing opportunity to protect you if you're looking, or for someone that you love that you want to be protected. So thank you so much again. And we'll see everybody else next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.